Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. Most people think high performers is just about doing more. More discipline, more habits, more strategy. But today's guest built his career proving the opposite. That what's actually holding high performers back isn't what they're missing. It's what they should be there, in the first place. Bogdan Micov, he's a former European karate champion, ex-CEO of one of the Dubai's largest hospitality groups, over 700 employees, 8 clubs, 3 fine dine restaurants, and much more. And at his peak, he walked away from everything to understand why high performers, people already winning, feel stuck, inconsistent, or off. And after investing multiple six figures into elite coaching, ancient practices, and years of deep work, he created the Cipher Method, a system designed not to add more, but to remove the interferences between you and your highest level. Bogdan, my friend, welcome.
I'm very glad I'm here, my brother.
Nice. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in Bali at the moment. I am in Bali. At the moment. I've been here calling it home for the last probably year and a half or so since I moved out from Dubai. Still traveling a lot, but yeah, I found myself very comfortable here.
Nice. What would you say is the biggest difference? I think it's quite the opposite, the business world, and here the more relaxed space.
Oh, there is a big difference. There is a big difference. Like Dubai is still one of the best places to live, place with one of the most opportunities for absolutely everyone. And it's probably the best city to raise family, if you ask me. From all the cultural things and how the leadership of UAE take care of the country itself. However, after being there for 16 years, I had to fulfill my need for variety a little bit. So I just wanted to go a little bit more in island vibes, where I can wear my pajamas and drive my motorbike and wear flip flops rather than need to jump in a car and like be stuck in traffic. So just I was seeking for a little bit of change and how you call it, like more simple way of living rather than fast life. And yeah, so far here, what's gonna bring next? God knows. I'm open for change always, but where it's going to be, I will know the night before I make the change.
One
That's
step at a time, as they say.
Yep.
Perfect. So let's go straight into it. Tell me, how did your journey really started? You had the great athlete background, living in Europe, then jumping to the UAE. Tell me, when was one of the biggest switches? When was some moment that you really open a blank page and really change your mindset and the whole journey, the whole trajectory?
I'm originally from Macedonia, for those that don't know, the Balkans, where we are neighbors like yourself, right? So I cannot complain that I had a bad life there. I had a good job in that moment. I was working. It's impossible there to be having a good life if you're not doing a few things at the same time, right? So besides my, career as a professional athlete, I was working as a journalist and I was working for the national TV station there. My specialty was crime bit and politics in that moment. So it was kind of a good place to learn how to deal with people that they're not telling the truth. Those, we call them politicians, people that always try to um, kind of say only what they want to say and not what people need to know, which helped me a lot in developing certain skills of communication in that moment, getting to deal with that avatar. And on the side, I was writing for the national newspapers and everything. So the income was good. I was having a good car, having my own place where to live. For Macedonians, it was okay. But it was a moment where I kind of realized, is this the place where I want to stay? Is this the place where I see myself growing? Is this the place where I can use my whole potential that I believe inside of me? I do have it, but I didn't have any options. That was a long time ago. It was 2009, 10, or I don't know. So I didn't have much options in that moment. I didn't know what to do. We didn't have access to how the world has access now, like online programs, online work, and all of that part. That was
Everything's there, yeah.
at least in my world was non-existent. We had no fucking clue about that part. And the only thing that I had idea of is some people that are living outside of the country. And I had a cousin of mine that used to work as a security in one nightclub in Dubai. And I still remember in that moment, there was no Zoom or anything. It was Skype, if you remember. So we were using Skype, and we were on a call, and I was like, is there any job for me there? And he was like, I can ask, like if there is any job there. And I was like, cool. I didn't even speak English in that moment, bear in mind. Like I had no clue. And because of my lack of English, because my lack of experience in what is it, I got the bottom job. It was like literally to assist the waiters. They called them runners now, or bussers or something else. So just on the bottom, where I need to clean ashtrays, polish glasses, and literally serve people for a living. Ego was not there. I was like, I just need to put my foot in and just test myself. And that was the decision. Now, the interesting thing is, a part of my cousin there, when I arrived there, I didn't know anyone. Now, compared to my previous life, where I was very well known in my country, and especially in my city, because of the sport, because of my profession as a journalist, I could knock on any door, ask for a favor or ask for opinion, or do whatever has to be done.
Yeah, now it changed.
Now no one fucking knows you. They look you weird. They see a serious face, Eastern European guy. They don't even know where Macedonia it is. They're just making fun of you. And it was not really pleasant experience in that moment. And for me, it was like, if I want to change this behavior towards me, I need to do something out of my life. And it was a decision on spot, where I was like, I'm going to do everything opposite that other people do. Dubai is a great place if you want to fucking party, right? So everyone that is in the nightlife in that moment, the moment when shift is finished, what they do? After party, or because it's nightlife, usually we were open 3 or 4 days a week. You have 3 days off. So these 3 days off, everyone is going chasing girls, seeking relationships, going out in other clubs, and drinking and having fun. My goal was like, first fucking learn English, dude. So from the first tips that I actually made, I bought myself a course. I still remember, in one bookstore. It's my favorite place in Dubai, called Kinokuniya. So I got myself Cambridge course for beginners with a CD in that moment, and workbooks, and all of that part. And I spent most of my time, while everyone is having fun, me learning English. Second thing that I did is, like, I'm not going to learn English well if I keep on communicating on my own language, or the other languages that are familiar like me, like Serbian or maybe Bulgarian. So I moved out from the apartment that I was living with my cousin. I moved in another apartment with the flatmates and roommates. They speak only English. And this really helped me. And very, very soon I started climbing the corporate ladder there. So from a runner, I just keep several positions. I got promoted to a floor supervisor, then from floor supervisor to floor manager, to operations manager, then to a general manager within the 3 years. So I literally started growing a lot. The whole goal was for me, like, while everyone is trying to take a break, I was trying to learn something new. While everyone was, like, I need to go to work, I will go 1 hour earlier, and I will leave 1 hour later after that. And luckily, the company that I was working for at that moment could notice that type of behavior, so they gave me the chance. Now, there was a little bit of different approach from my side towards that. I always asked for more responsibilities, and never for a higher salary or a higher or a higher position. I was like, give me more responsibility, because I feel I'm not my skill set and my potential is not used enough. And what happens then is, I literally I learn what needs to be done next, and I'm prepared for the next position. And if the person that was above me makes a mistake, they have someone ready to replace them. And usually everyone does make a mistake, and just a space opens. And then I was recruited from another company, way bigger company, where I faced with one of the biggest challenges in that moment, and that was pre-opening of I started with pre-opening of a beach club together with a festival area. So my first project, it was like, I don't know, 3, maximum 4 weeks, I had to open a full full beach club, and we were starting with Elro Festival. We had like around 15,000 people coming in there. It was a proper mess, must admit. I don't think I slept over those 4 weeks, but we made it through, learned from the mistakes, and then became the same company. They saw that that's a good type of idea. So in the next year, I opened another 7 different nightclubs for house music, for deep trance music, for hip hop, different concepts. Then we started opening fine dining restaurants. Then we started opening Irish pubs, English pubs, gastronomic pubs. All of that became like one by one my responsibility. Go do the pre-opening, run the opening, get the operation running for the next 6 months, and then after hand over that to another management, and you just oversee from top and make sure that the revenue grows and all of that. And it was a good journey. Like, it was a good journey. I feel so blessed that I made that decision to leave the comfortable life that I had back home and go clean ashtrays for 3 times less salary that I was having back home, and 10 times bigger expenses of living there. It wasn't the easiest thing to be done, but it was very rewarding when it comes to, growth and career.
Yeah, hell of a journey. And tell me, I mean, you've seen it all in the last, few decades. Tell me, like, why do high performers still feel like there's something missing? Your experience, general.
Well, I will need to clarify the question. When you say why do they still feel is something missing, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. When
So I
people
can
have
tell a
their
little bit
corporate
of-
journey, their business and everything going great, obviously, let's say in Dubai, after some time, everyone says, okay, they're still not fulfilled.
Well,
Why the truth is.
there might be many different reasons why is that happening. First thing is, let's talk about a very common thing, right? But there will be hundreds, and there is no way for me, if I need to give you a complete answer, we'll need to go 3-4 days of a workshop, like,
Yeah.
to actually get that. Fulfillment. What is fulfillment? First, what is fulfillment? Feeling good. Feeling fulfilled, experiencing a positive emotions, right? Happiness, pride, and all of that part. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that many people do is when they attach their own worth to something external, like a career, bank account, position, and they source their own fulfillment or their own happiness to something out there. So it's very logical. The moment when you reach that place, there is no fulfillment, then you're seeking for the next thing, and then you're seeking for the next thing, and then you're seeking for the next thing. And hence why many of them, they finish burnout, they finish in a, let's say, not really pleasant day-to-day living within their own body. And when it comes to the point, they're consistently chasing the next dream. One of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to fulfillment that I have met among, high performers, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and CEOs, executives, professional athletes, is they say, I'm going to work very hard, and then I'm going to succeed in their definition of success, whatever their definition of success. In these cases, is mainly financial, right? And then I will be happy. And then they work their ass off. They reach a certain financial success or success in their own way, and they're happy for 2 days. Maybe not
And
even
then
that.
what?
And then they sit down and they're like, now what? This is not the thing, right? Now, what I've been working, literally, I have had clients that are legit self-made billionaires. They have a little bit of different way of thinking. They say, if we are looking for happiness to come out of our success, why not first be happy and fulfilled, which will going to allow us to work even harder without feeling that it's hard. We're going to put even more hours in. We're going to put even more effort in, but it's not going to feel like a friction, but rather like a sensation for growth consistently. And then success is inevitable. So they would go into say like flip that part. Now in those spiritual world right now, I don't want people to say gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Many people say like, how can I be grateful for if my life is shit? Well, let me ask you something. Whose responsibility is if your life is going to be shit or not? Right? And if you consistently focus on your life is shit, you're not focusing on how your life could possibly be. So you're focusing on what's missing and not what's possible. And when you're focusing on what's missing, Tony Robbins says very often, he was going to say like, where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, it grows. So if you're focusing on what's missing in your fucking life, what is going to grow? Exactly that, what's missing. So you're becoming a problem solver, but you're not become a solution finder. So when those roles flip, then the journey becomes different. Now, I don't know if you have heard about Carlos Castaneda, an author, beautiful. I like his writings and the books. And just in a nutshell, there is one book and he tells very good stories, storytelling perfect. So I really like it. So one of his books, there is one chapter, a guy in his 40s, let's say someone like me, he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's confused. And he heard there is a very wise man in some top of some mountain somewhere in the world that can give him the guidance. And so he goes, he straps his boots on, he walks days, nights, months, years, and finally he finds the old wise man. And the old wise man asks him, how can I help you, son? And he was like, oh, well, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what path to take. And the wise man says, listen, my son, in life, at any given moment, you have million paths to take. You have choice of million different paths, and all paths lead nowhere. What is important for you is to walk the path that has a heart. And as soon as you walk the path that has a heart, you will keep walking. If you walk a path that doesn't have a heart, it will become a bumpy road, a friction, and sooner or later, you will decide to quit. And if we understand the metaphor behind is which path are you walking? Are you starting from resourceful, happy, fulfilling, joyful, calming, peaceful state and walking the path in front of you so you enjoy the journey that can lead you and you can keep on walking, keep on progressing? Or you're walking a path just because someone told you that that's the right thing to do, and that's how you are going to be respected, and you just keep chasing the next thing while walking on nails, while you're slowly bleeding until you bleed to death. Not literally, but you bleed your own life force energy. So why people feel not fulfilled? First, they need to look at are they attached to specific outcomes? Then second thing is that attachment. Why are they attached to the outcome? What caused them to be attached? And sooner or later, you will find out that they relate their own personal worth as a human being to something like, I have this, I did this, to something outside of them. Why? Because they were conditioned. What will other people say? If you want to be respected, you need to look certain way. If you want to be loved, you will need to do something in certain way. They learned very early in their life, sometimes, some of those, let's say, beliefs or values or whatever comes there. And then it was accepted and they started operating from that world consistently. I mean, dude, you can have a multi-billion-dollar mansion and the most expensive Rolls Royce, and you can still be the most miserable fuck. And I'm not saying money is bad. I encourage everyone to make even more money. It helps. It's a good fucking thing.
It's a tool, yeah.
It's a tool, but it cannot be source for your own fulfillment because it's impossible. Your relationship with money will going to be the source. So yeah, we are going down the rabbit hole in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I love it.
Deeper part here.
Yeah, there'll be some hard pills for swallow to some people, but definitely, yeah, amazing. So tell me, What is a Cipher method? You had a lot of things you learn for so many people and you put it all at one place. Now that you really want to help people really to find fulfillment, have their initial software, if you will, to really rewire not just behavior. We spoke before that people only are doing the last part. They just want to polish the outside of the car. They're not changing the engine, the maps. Tell me, when you work with someone, where do you start? Where is the biggest work to be done?
I mean, first we start, they need to have a problem, right? And they need to admit that they have a problem.
Yeah.
You know, they
Having a
need to
problem
come to me.
nowadays is easy.
No, but here's the thing: ego plays a big role in this entrepreneurial world right now in the moment. I have been hired sometimes from some companies, corporations, and I'm there in the room with 10, 15 different executives, and you know, like we're about to start, and the intro is being done, and all of them they're like, "I have problems," you know. And I was like, how I'm going to deal with that? I was hired here. These people doesn't even want to be here, right? Like they have been forced by their company to be here. They don't even want to be here. They think they don't have a problem. And I was like, okay, tell me what's your biggest stressor in life? I know that you don't have problems, but tell me what's your biggest stressor in life? And then, well, my wife, another one, employees, another one, suppliers, another one, these. And it's very weird because all of them pointed to something outside of them. And stress is self-created, by the way. So you see the twisted misconception, how they say they will point it out. The problem is out there. It's not with me. So the first thing is they need to become aware that, oh, I do have a problem and I need help. And when they kind of come to that stage, then we can actually see what the problem is and what we can do about that. Usually people, when they come with a certain problem, that problem is never a problem. There is always a root cause in some completely different area of life that is working in the background, running that operating system, and all they have done is just trying to update the app, and the app was never a problem. It was the operating system running the app. So that's why they have been completely looping. Now, what is happening here? Let's go for everyone to understand what I'm talking about before I, start throwing terms and terminology. We all have results in life, right? Results. We are surrounded by our own results, whether that's your bank account, whether that's your position, whether that's your role, whether that's your six pack, whether is that your health, whether is that your relationship. It's all results. And we have results that we like and results that we don't like. And usually the results that we don't like, we call them problems. In my world, I want to call them results. That's my approach to it. Now, where does results come from? Everyone knows that. And this is nothing new that I'm saying here. Everyone knows this part. The sum total of behaviors, which means everything that we do combined with what we don't do, we're going to define our results. Very simple. Things that we do and things that we don't do, all those together, we're going to define our results in that particular area that we are looking at to right now at the moment. So let's say if we're talking about money. If you do things, some different things, and stop doing some things, results are going to change, right? So most of the industries, right now in the mainstream, they are promoting, changing behavior. Here is where there is different, tools, different type of self-development, things that come like you do this, you don't do this, go and do affirmations, go and do cold plunging, go and do push-ups, like go push-ups, and that will going to heal your fucking trauma that you had when you were 2 years old, right? Go and do push-ups. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And all of that, it helps. But how easy it is to change a behavior. We all know that 99.9% of the people in the world, there are some unicorns out there, not neglecting that part, but there is 99.9% of the people of the world, they will write down the New Year's resolution. They will go sign up for the gym, pay for 2 years in advance, hire a coach, receive their diet plan, supplement stock, everything from supplements. Like their fucking shelves at home look like a pharmacy, like a pharmacy looks there, and they have such a motivation because they're gonna start losing weight. And what happens then is they go to the gym the next day. They come back, they take a selfie and they post day 1. Then they go the next day and they take a selfie day 2. And on Wednesday, they come there and they start doubting. It's like, is it healthy for me from the beginning to start pushing to go every day for a training? Maybe it's better for me to start 3 times a week instead of 6. They start convincing themselves and finding proofs. Then they start Googling, if you start as a new beginner, should you train every day? And they will find the article somewhere, no, train 3 times a day, right? They're like, oh, here it is. That suits I'm not going to train today. They skip the Wednesday, they go Thursday back, and then they go Friday, and they come back in Friday, and it's time to go and, get ready to go out and meet their friends. Today is going to be my cheat day. No more diet, right? Now it's a cheat day because somehow they have convinced themselves that a cheat day will going to bring them a better result than eating healthy and what they're supposed to do. By week 2, they're out of the gym. They don't even go there anymore, right? That's 99% of the people, which proves us that working on behavior only, changing what we do and what we don't do, it's way more complicated than we think. And that's because there is something that drives the behavior behind. So then we need to go layer deeper, remove that layer. What drives our behavior? So let's give us certain examples. When you are in a flow state, do you work more or less?
Less.
Hmm?
It feels less friction, but you can do more output.
You put more output, you have more effort, you put everything, but it feels like easy to do. So you put more work, right? It doesn't feel that hard because you're in flow. So when you're in a flow, how do you feel, by the way? Like what's
Amazing. Everything's smooth.
everything smooth, which means positive emotions are running through your body, whether it's that fulfillment, calmness, happiness, joy in what you find. And you're in a flow, you put and you work and there is no problem. Now, let me ask you something. Just remember a time when you were pissed off at someone. How does your working day looked?
Oh, totally different. Some emotional baggage is there. And yeah,
You're pissed off on everyone, focus is missing, then you start stacking, like those people that now they're putting the nicotine patches, like they look like vampires, all of them, and to think like that's going to help their focus. And which means what drives the behavior or which behavior you will access is your state, your emotional state. How do you feel at that particular moment? Because when you're in flow or experiencing positive emotion, you have access to different range of behaviors. And when you are in a fucking friction and experiencing negative emotions, you're going to have access to different range of behavior. So unresourceful state will always going to produce unresourceful behavior. Resourceful state will always going to produce unresourceful behavior. And here, there is many industries that work on the state. Right? So here is, for example, one of the industry that works on a state is, motivational speakers. Great thing. Corporations found out this long time ago, so they will bring their whole sales team in one place, and then they will bring a motivational speaker, and he will going to pump the juice through their veins, through the fucking roof. Everyone is shouting, doing push-ups. They are so fucking, and that works perfectly, right? Works perfectly. How long does it work? That state. How long that state stays like that is the question. Sometimes it stays very long, like until next Friday, and they're motivated. And sometimes they go back home from that event and they're putting the key to the keyhole and they know who is waiting them from the other side, their wife. They go at home, they have argument with their spouse, state changes, and they go back to work the next day bitching about life, bitching about work, bitching about everything around them again, which means state really works, managing the state. For how long does it works? That's a different question. And now here is but what drives the state? What creates emotion? What is emotion? For us to understand what emotion is, what creates the emotion, we need to understand what emotion it is first. Emotion is not something that comes from outside. Anger didn't land in your lap. Sadness didn't land in your head. I didn't injected you with guilt. Doesn't work like that. Emotion, any type of emotion, it's just a chemical released from your hypothalamus, your own brain, through your blood system, delivered to every cell of your body. And what is the purpose of an emotion? Whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, the purpose for the emotion is just a guidance. What type of guidance? Now people will ask. It's a feedback mechanism for the quality of your thinking at this moment. Feedback mechanism for the quality of your thinking at this moment. If you have a shitty thinking, it will be a shitty feeling, shitty emotion. If you have a shitty if you have a good thing going through your head, you have a good emotion. Because the moment when you say, I'm so blessed, you start feeling blessed. The moment when you say, I'm fucking idiot, you really start feeling some sensations that indicates, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot, you know? And when we come to that point, is like it's not about to do a positive way of thinking, but recognizing what is driving that way of thinking. Now, so we go a layer deeper. Thinking is like how to change my thinking. Well, let's say what creates your thinking or your way of thinking. There is something that's called meaning-making process, which is deep psychological process that happens within your thinking. Thoughts are just raw sensory data. They're meaningless. They're raw sensory data. But that meaning-making process will going to decide the outcome of your thoughts. Examples. Let's go through examples. The boss gives a speech, and then one employee finds it offensive, and they get pissed off. Another one found it like a constructive criticism, and they get motivated. Same speech, but two different experiences in two different heads, because the meaning making of those two people is completely different. Someone associate that his tone of speaking, his word that he is using, like something bad, wrong, and someone like something that is helping me. Now, who is wrong and who is right? There is no wrong or right. It's the same situation. It's a meaningless raw sensory data, but we assigned our meaning. So here is the part where does that meaning making process come from? And that's exactly where we want to look at. That's our conditioning. So what is a conditioning? Conditioning is the sum total of all of your values, all of your beliefs, all of your memories with unresolved negative emotions on it, all of your attitudes, all of your needs, all of your decisions made in the key points of life, which means is the sum total of all of your experiences since you were born until now. And that sum total together creates your identity. It's something that you identify yourself with. That's your conditioning. Set of values, set of belief, set of needs, put in the specific hierarchy based on your conditioning and based on your model of the world. Good fucking thing is that conditioning is not something that you are born with. Like we said, it's all of your past experiences that actually was created on an unconscious level, which means it's just the learnings. And whatever is learned, it can be unlearned. Now, many people will say like, but this is who am I? You know, I have clients, sometimes they become a little bit understanding, like, yeah, but this is who am I? And I'm going to tell them directly in their face, fuck you. This is not who you are. You're way more than that, aren't you? And they start looking at me like this. I was like, this is who you learn to be. And what is learned, it can be unlearned. So the Cipher method works there on that conditioning deep level. Change the conditioning. It will going to change what type of state you generate. What state you generate, it will going to change the way how you behave. And how you behave, it will going to change your results. So if you work on that level, level one, deeper one, you don't need to put effort. It becomes effortless because it's a chain that goes one on another. Now you tell me, you can go and do affirmations every single fucking day. I am millionaire, right? You can do it every day. But if in your conditioning, there is a belief that is engraved and says you are not worthy, that belief will push back. And your unconscious mind says, No, you're not. And it will push back and create a resistance, create a friction. And hence why affirmations work while you're doing them in front of the mirror. Step out of the mirror, everything left. Everything is done simply because you have been trying to change something in the wrong layer, in the wrong level. So when it comes to point for people experiencing change, then we need to look at the conditioning. Why? Let's go break the parts from the conditioning. Let's say the six first, all of your needs, right? So the 6 core human needs: certainty, variety, love and connection, significance, growth, and contribution. The first 4 are the main ones. The growth and contribution are the supplementary type of ones. All those needs is the why behind all of your behaviors. So it's a filter so your whole being perception goes through, and it's the why behind all of our behaviors. Everything that we do or we don't do is we are meeting a certain need. So if your dominant need, it is a certainty, the need for safety, predictability, and all of that, and you're seeking to meet that need from something from outside, like a salary, to meet so I'm safe, right? How would you fucking take a risk and start your own business? You wouldn't. That's why people that don't take the risk, because the certainty is not there, because they cannot perceive it, simply because they have attached that something from outside of them give them certainty. The moment when they find a healthier way to meet that need, then they can start taking risks because they know that they can actually meet that need. It's a deeper psychological level. I always say like analogy. If a bird land on a branch, on a tree branch, does it trust the branch or it trusts its own wings?
Yeah, the wings.
So it's not the branch outside of you that gives you the certainty. It's your own wings that gives you the certainty. So find a way how to actually do that. Second most unconscious filter in our conditioning is our values, which means things that are important to us in a given context. And they are very unconsciously written down learnings. So how to say it? The point of the values is your top 5 values in the hierarchy will going to determine 80% of your self-initiated motivation. 80% of your self-initiated motivation comes from your top 5 values in the hierarchy. So if on first place it's excitement, right, as a value, but you get a job in a cubicle in a corporate, that's completely opposite, right? There is nothing exciting sitting down in a fucking gray suit and having a stupid boss. Nothing exciting there, right? No matter how much money you make, even though you think money is important, no matter how much money you make, you wouldn't be motivated to go and do your job. It will be like a fucking friction. It will be tearing you apart. And that's how people get depressed. And that's how people get burned out. And all of that. Simply the values are not aligned with the goals or the situations that they are running at this moment. So, or you change the values. It can be done. Not many people know how to do it in the world. It can be done. Or you change, align what you do and your goals with your values. So you get a job that is more exciting for you if that's, I just gave it an example, right? Then it comes the beliefs. Every mindset guru is talking about belief right now in the moment. And all of them, they are reframing beliefs every single day, especially in the sales world. You reframe that belief. So why are you reframing it every day? when that belief is going to change? Because they don't understand. Most of them, they don't understand the structure of a belief. Belief is just a thought. It's a generalization of a thought that was accepted as true and then practice over time to become unconscious competence and to run in the background consistently. So you don't even become aware, conscious of that part. Which means if that thought was accepted as true, there was a decision made from us to accept that as true. You want to fucking change a belief and to literally delete it. We call them limiting beliefs, right? Those that doesn't serve us a purpose. So you want to change. You want to change a limiting belief. You need to first go to the limiting decision, and each limiting decision has a negative emotion attached to it. So it might be when your father told you, you're a fucking idiot, you will never going to make anything out of your life. And you made a decision, I'm a fucking idiot, I'm not going to make anything out of that life. And that will come and produce branches and network of beliefs to support that decision. And that emotion there in that moment, that was maybe shame or maybe guilt or whatever, it's the anchor, it's the glue, it's the cement for the beliefs itself. So people, when they start reframing limiting beliefs, they're just twisting the belief and it comes back the next day. But the moment when you get the fucking anchor out, which is that negative emotion, there is nothing to hold it true there. And then we can reinstall another belief that is not limiting you and it is not going to create a problem. It serves you better at this particular moment. So that's the part. Now, another thing is I mentioned negative memories with negative emotions, unresolved negative emotions. Your whole nervous system carries those memories. Now, which memories do you remember the most? With a strong emotion, whether positive or negative. If you had a kid, you fucking remember like it was yesterday. If someone died terribly, you remember it was yesterday. And the moment when you just think of that, you can experience that. Whether it's a gratitude or sadness, you can experience that. Now, with time, if those emotions aren't processed on the spot, and they're being repressed, suppressed, and all of that, they get piled up. They're stored baggage into your nervous system. And that backpack becomes heavy with time. So what has to happen is to actually get rid of that backpack so you can have a little bit of clean nervous system, a resourcefulness, and then you can do a work that needs to be done. So that's the path. So when you ask why people hit a plateau and why they're not fulfilled, it's not such a simple answer, but they need to look back in step 1, not at step 3. And that is where we find out where the root cause it is. If someone displays a symptom, you don't give him a vitamins or a painkiller. You go and remove what creates the symptom in the first place. So if someone says like, what do you do? Yeah, I do a surgical operations on your fucking deepest shit so we can remove it.
So many
And
golden gems.
so here is the thing. You have heard this one in the world when those motivational speakers, right? And all of those people and most of those gurus out there online, they were going to tell you, think, imagine who do you want to become? And I have only one thing to say about this. You don't need to become anyone else. You need to unbecome who you weren't to begin with, because you are not your beliefs. You're not your values. You're not your memories. You're not your emotions. You're not your way of thinking. You're way more than that. You just forgot because you got conditioned. You don't need to become anyone else. You need to remember who you truly were before the world took its hands on you and conditioned you and taught you what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is black, what is white. And then you can decide how you want to be.
Also,
Not to
what I
become.
really liked is when you mention about a trauma, that it happens in a very instant and can also be unlearned, or you'll tell me the better term for it. Tell me a little bit more about that, because now everyone's saying that if we're taking the regular route, having a therapist, a coach, or someone, it takes sessions, weeks, months, years.
Yeah.
What's your approach on that? From what I understood, it
Yeah,
takes
it takes
way
3 minutes.
less.
Yeah, it takes 3 minutes. And you can go on my Instagram and you can see how it takes fucking 3 minutes. Here is the thing. What is let's say we're talking about emotional trauma, not a physical trauma,
Yes,
right? So if we're talking about emotional trauma, something bad happened, terrible happened that you experienced. You had such a rush of those chemicals that overwhelmed your system, which means those emotions overwhelmed your system. And that memory is such a fucking painful memory, right? Now, what is the traditional approach? People go to call it a therapist or however it is, and they sit down on a Monday afternoon, and the therapist asks you, so how does that make you feel? And they start replaying that same memory in their head all and over again. What they're doing in that moment, they just keep that memory alive, reliving it. The nervous system is tensed consistently. How does that help? It doesn't help because that's way is being created so you can keep on going and paying them every Monday. They don't want you to get better. Not the therapist itself, the industry itself. The therapist has the best intention. They just haven't get to the certain knowledge that they can actually come to that point and actually help them in 3 fucking minutes. What happens in some of my sessions is some they come, I ask what is the problem? Cool. No problem. I'm not gonna remind you. I don't need a context. I don't need anything about that. We detach and delete the negative emotion from the memory itself. And then it becomes only a memory without a negative charge. And when there is no negative charge, it's not a trauma anymore. And very often the memory fades. Not completely, because we are not deleting memories, but we are definitely deleting the emotions are there. And now people will say, Bogdan, you're talking bullshit because that doesn't work like that. Change takes time. Really? Well, how was that trauma created in the first place?
Instant, yeah.
Instant, in one moment, something happened, boop, right in a second. So if that happens in a second, that was a change too, right? From one state to another state in a second. If that change can happen in a second, what makes you think it cannot be other way around? It was a story sold by mainstream industry simply because maybe on purpose or maybe without knowing better, didn't have the tools to actually get rid of that. That's how long it takes. Phobia, it was created. You know, people that have phobia, maybe from a spiders or maybe from a dog, they were bitten by the dog. The phobia created then. And they, even when they think of a dog, they want to jump from a 5th floor. Like such an irrational fear, right? Or they see a cockroach in the other room and they will jump from 10th floor. Because phobia was created. And phobia is just fear, irrational fear. That phobia was created also in a moment. So what makes you think it cannot be reversed in a moment? For a phobia literally to disappear takes 7 to 10 minutes. That's how long it takes. How long people go for a phobia? How long people live in irrational fears of
Years.
They cannot simply. I had a friend of mine. He doesn't have the phobia anymore, but he used to have a phobia of spiders. And the first time when we came to Bali, he was not having a good time because you will see a small little spider on the other side of the pool and he was going to freak out. It took 7 minutes to get rid of that, and so he can live a better life. So if that type of changes can happen, everything can happen. Your neurology, your nervous system, it's a powerful fucking machine, and it can be rewired. It's not hardwired. It can be rewired consistently with the right tools, with the right access, with the right mentor. It can be done. So no matter what the problem is, we need to look at first, take responsibility to look at us, not in the others. Give me another funny example. I had a client of mine, this is in Dubai, and he comes into, I used to have like this physical office where people come in my office and the sessions are being done there. And he comes in and I was like, what's the problem? And he was like, I cannot just make money, man. And I was like, how come? I was like, I just can't. I can't. You see what he's saying? I can't. He's convincing himself that he cannot, right? Just to believe, right?
Conditioning himself.
Like, yeah, like believe in himself. And I was like, okay, why can't you make more money? And then you see the externalization. It's not me. Man, the economy is shit. My business in Australia is being taxed 60%. The global economy is going to hell and all of that. And I was like, okay, cool. Then we are done for today. The session is done. And he looks at me like, how do you think is done? I was like, well, you will come tomorrow for another session. But tomorrow when you come, please bring the global economy, bring the taxation system, and bring these authorities that control the price of the petrol, that is affecting you. Bring them all here. I can talk with them and maybe I can, convince them somehow to let you off the hook, you out of everyone else. And he looks at me weird. Why did I do that? And it was kind of a sarcastic way. Why did I do that? Can you help a client when they do not want to accept responsibility? I mean, how 19 years old kids are making millions online and you cannot make it? How the world is a great place for many people and for you is dangerous place? Whenever you have a problem, can't you notice that you are there? So how about we take responsibility for our own results, for our own behaviors, for our own things. And even if it's not our fault, pretend for a second that it is. And that's the way how you take the remote control of your life first before you do any work. Until that happens, not me, not God can help you. Until you keep on blaming, government, leads, marketing, someone else outside of you. There is one interesting story about this. A police officer is walking somewhere 2 hours after midnight, patrolling the streets, and he sees a drunk man like crawling on the ground, looking for something. And police officer, he wants to help him, and he was like, "What are you looking for?" And the drunk man is like, "Oh, well, I lost my keys." And the police officer willing to help. I was like, "Do you remember where did you see your keys for the last time?" And he was like, "Oh, I see them there." And the police officer was like, "So it was the last place where you see them, it was there. Why you're looking here?" And the drunk guy says, "Because here is the light. Here is the light." So it's not really funny, right? But it points out we're always trying to look where the light is, which means outside of us. Inside, it's dark. Inside, you need to look and point finger towards yourself. It's not always comfortable. And we avoid that like the biggest hell. But there is where you will find your answer. So the only way out is the way in.
Well, very, very powerful. Amazing. And also, you mentioned to me that you're hosting something really, really different. It's not just an event, it's the whole real world immersive environment experience in Bali. Can you tell us more about that?
So it have come a time I realized because one-on-one working with clients, I could do only that much. I have a limited amount of time and I have a limited amount of energy that I can spend with clients one-on-one. So for me, if I want to make a difference, I needed to find a way how to do it. And the way that I figured it out at this moment is, why don't I train other people on my thing, on the Cipher method, so they can learn it in and out, so they can go and help other people around. So it came to a moment for me to create a full immersive training called Evolve or Expire that will going to be hosted right now in July 9 to July 13 in Bali. And it's going to be 5 days, maybe 10, 12 hours a day of a training where the participants first go through their own transformation. Then they learn how to do it and they practice with real clients there how to actually execute every exercise, every tool, everything, so they can, after 5 days spending in that room, when they step in front of the mirror, they finally like what they see and coming home with a full skill set they can use for life. If you want to become a certain coach and implement it, please be my guest. And that way I could actually help more people indirectly. And it's a selfish reason here. Very, very selfish. I have a very selfish reason for it. I want to create my environment the way I want it to create. I want my environment, people to be less stressed, more joyful. Environment, people to be more productive rather than more self-sabotaging. Because I want my environment to be pleasant, because no matter how resilient we are, environment still affects us. So I would rather create my environment with people that actually are on the same wavelength like me, rather than hoping that someone else needs to change around me. So why
That's what
not?
leaders do, yeah.
Why not?
Uh-huh. Amazing. I'll drop all the links in the bio. Tell me, where can people find you? Where are you most active?
I think that the best way is going to be on Instagram. They can just find me Micov Bogdan, Micov Bogdan. It's there. I'm most active there. They have all my links there, all my stuff. I hope they found it interesting. People that like will stay. People that doesn't like it, they won't. Not that I give a fuck, but we don't resonate with everyone, and I completely understand that. And it's absolutely normal thing. But at the end of the day, I want to create my environment. So everyone is welcome, and everyone is welcome to leave if they don't find it beneficial. That's how it is.
Boom. Anything else before we wrap it up today that you want to share?
What
You
else?
said a lot of things, a lot of valuable things.
What else? I mean, I don't know. We covered few
Being
things.
short and sweet.
I'll be completely honest. This I don't expect you to accept this as yours because it's going to depend on your meaning making process. But I learned one thing that helps me live the life the way I want to live, and that's follow your highest excitement to the best of your abilities at any given moment, free from attachment to a specific outcome. And that's the path that has a heart. As soon as you walk that path, whatever you consider a success will follow effortlessly.
Boom. Mic drop. Ladies and gentlemen, one and only, Mr. Bogdan Micov. Thank you, brother, so much for your time, for everything you shared.
It was my pleasure, my man. My pleasure.
Boom. Until next time, see you in Bali. Boom.
Yes, absolutely.